In Tragedy, a true crime podcast, we discuss crimes that may be violent in nature. At times, we may cover homicides, missing people, and other topics that may be unsettling. Listener discretion is advised. In this series of Tragedy, a true crime podcast, we'll be covering the missing case of Ian Rogers out of Crawfordville, Florida. I'm Elisa.
I'm Michael.
And we just want to start out by thanking a listener for this recommendation. If you have heard our voices before, that means you have listened to our 6-episode series on the unsolved homicide of Jody Kilgore. And one of those people recommended this case as our next case to cover. It's in the same county.
Yeah.
In this case, we have someone who is missing. And so we want to thank that listener for giving us this recommendation. And if you're new to our podcast, we do want to take a moment just to clear our intent so that you understand what we are trying to do with our podcast. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, the big thing that we want to focus on is we're not looking for notoriety. We're not looking for money. We're not looking for anything other than giving back to the community. And so we're looking for cases that have maybe been poorly represented in the media, poorly covered by law enforcement, or at least not extensively covered by law enforcement, and just the type of cases that seem to be getting left behind. So that's what led us to the Jody Kilgore case, and that's, of course, what's now led us to this one.
All right. Well, let's get into it with just a quick summary.
All right. Let's do it.
In the early morning hours of August 26th, 2024, Ian Rogers dropped his girlfriend off at work. He returned to the home they shared. He got ready for work. He stopped by his mother's house to pick up work tools, and he was never verifiably seen again. Ian worked for Spartan Exteriors, where he had recently received a promotion. With his promotion, he was enjoying a salary increase, and he was provided with a work truck. The work truck, a 2019 Dodge Ram, was captured on at least one that we know of traffic camera, but it was unclear if Ian was the driver of the truck, as the image is super grainy. Between 9:30 and 12:30 p.m., we are aware of some phone calls that he made to family and to coworkers. And a phone call was made from his phone late in the morning that indicated that the truck was overheating and that he would be late to work. And it wasn't until that evening when Ian's boss, Joe, arrived at Ian's mom's house to tell her that Ian had not arrived at work that day. And since that day, family and friends have focused on taking action on finding Ian. And Ian's disappearance was immediately reported to the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office. A Facebook page was created, and missing persons flyers were distributed. Also, this case was added to the NamUs website, which is a website that houses critical information about people who are missing. And at this time, June of 2025, there has been no contact or word from Ian.
All right. So at this point, because it's a missing person, there doesn't seem to be a lot of information at all here. We've talked about a truck that's missing. We've talked about him that's missing, and it's just poof, he's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And no one seems to have any idea of really what to go on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Based on that summary, I want to start with, we understand he was getting promoted or was promoted. Do we know what he was supposed to be doing that day?
Yes, he was supposed to be reporting to work at the work site, which is in Killarn, which is in Tallahassee. And he lived at the time in Crawfordville, which is south of Tallahassee. So he was supposed to be traveling in the work truck north, either up the Crawfordville Highway or the Woodville Highway,
Mm-hmm.
and then most likely circling around Capitol Circle. There are several different ways to do it, and heading up into that Killarn neighborhood, which is the northeast part of Tallahassee.
Okay. What about, was there anything going on around this time?
Yes. The day he disappeared was August 26th, 2024. And what's really notable about the timing of this disappearance or of him being missing is that the next day, August 27th, is his only child's birthday. And we know from talking to family that he had been talking with his child about a birthday party. They had been making plans. He disappeared on a Monday. They had been making plans for the next weekend to continue the celebration of his birthday. And it just seemed it's obviously unusual for someone just to go missing anyway, but for that to happen the day before your only child's birthday was just even more unsettling to people.
So this is probably one of the reasons why most people that we've spoken with so far don't believe that this person just got up and walked away. And it was out of character for him. Plus, with these events and this person, his child that he cared for, extremely unlikely he would have just vanished on his own accord.
Right.
And is this also the reason that law enforcement is treating this now like it was foul play? Because it started out as a missing person, from what we understand. They now treat it as foul play. What led up to them changing that decision?
Yes, and so we know it was originally reported as a missing persons because Teresa Ian's mom is the person who reported him missing the evening that the boss came and visited her, and she lives in Crawfordville, which is why the case is held with Waukall County Sheriff's Office originally. And about 3 months later, they changed it from a missing persons investigation to a criminal investigation. And it seems that shift happened because we know that that's about the time that they were able to get the cell phone records. I can tell that from doing some reading and some researching. And that they also got the bank accounts at that time. So there was nothing happening with bank accounts, nothing happening with phone or anything like that after the day he disappeared. So I think those are some of the things that triggered the change to a criminal investigation.
All right, so let's talk about the media coverage.
Right. So WFLA, a local radio station, did a quick cover of the story shortly after Ian disappeared. WTXL, which is a local TV channel, initially covered the disappearance. We also know that there was an article in the Waukall Sun on October 10th of 2024, which is around the 6-week mark of his disappearance. It's like not even a half-page article in the Waukall Sun, shows the flyer that the family and friends made and just talks briefly about his disappearance. And that's really all that we have that we know we can directly attribute to Ian's disappearance as far as media coverage.
All right, so what I find notable here is you haven't indicated anything so far in your story about have we even gone looking for this person? Have we gone looking for the truck? What kind of efforts for recovery have been made so far?
Yes, the best place to start to learn what that looked like for the family is the Operation Bring Ian Rogers Facebook page. And you can tell pretty immediately that several close friends and family members created this Facebook page, and they made flyers, they posted flyers everywhere. You can see on the Facebook page, people are saying, where do you think where do you think his cell phone pinged? Nobody knew it at that time, but they started talk. Where do I take my ATV? Where do I take my metal detector? Like, people who were supporting the family were coming out initially at the beginning. Lots of people. How can we help? Let us give you money so we can get these flyers out. Let us call the local news channel. So, initially there was a lot going on, and some people then took that a step further, and they were able to contact several search and rescue organizations. There were a couple we know for sure were involved, and one is the Sunshine State Sonar Organization. And then the second one is called Depths of History. There's a really interesting, I think it's about 8 minutes.
I think so.
On YouTube, where this organization, Depths of History, they have some kind of sonar equipment that they lower into sinkholes, and they were searching for the truck. We'll put that in the description if you're interested in watching that. And according to that YouTube 8-minute thing on YouTube, somehow they got the information about where the cell phone had last pinged. He doesn't necessarily say how he got that, but there is that search and rescue effort, as well as with Depths of History, they were launching drones in the area as well. Turns out it was private property. Then we also know that the truck, let's just talk about where the truck was seen, because that's really connected to these search and rescue efforts. So we know that there was a traffic camera or some kind of camera that did capture an image of the truck near the intersection of Connor and Appalachie Parkway. Now, again, as we mentioned at the beginning, we don't know that it was Ian in the truck because it's a little grainy, but it definitely was the truck. And because of that, some search and rescue organizations checked several bodies of water in that area, which is up in Tallahassee, and did some additional drone footage, and even went as far as to searching the Wassissa River in that area.
Yeah, we're not sure why they went to search the Wassissa River. We don't have any information on that yet, but we do know they did search there.
So it does appear that there are at least two, maybe more, organizations that did go out and try to find the truck. I guess, I'm not from Tallahassee, but it does seem that people ditch cars and trucks in sinkholes.
It's been known to happen.
So this seemed like a logical thing for people to do is, I think you're going to be able to find a truck a little faster than you might, find a body if that's the case. And so maybe hitting on the truck was a good decision.
Yeah, and the other challenge about the truck, and when we first heard about the case, I was interested in how did this truck just disappear? And one of the things that you have to keep in mind is this was pointed out by someone we spoke with recently that, it's such a generic truck. It's a Dodge white contractor looking truck. There's got to be 1,000 of them that you see on an everyday basis if you're driving around the city. So this is a truck that would blend into something very, very easily and something that people would probably not notice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they do have the license plate number. We did put it at the very beginning, but I'll just put it in again. It's a Florida tag RSKU, and then the numbers 5 and 7. So to circle back to your question about search efforts, it sounds like a lot of things were done. ATVs, drones, going into sinkholes, and that's just what we know from family and friends. We don't have any information about law enforcement's efforts for any searches of the truck or Ian, because it's an active case and we can't get that information.
Yeah, one thing we did is and we're going to get into more detail in some later episodes, but we did some searches of various types of other activities that were happening in this area. And one thing that we found that was notable is the discovery of a skeleton. Now, Lisa, you want to go into that?
On January 17th, 2025, skeletal remains were found in a wooded area near the Blairstone Forest area. And this was posted in an article on the WCTV webpage on January 23rd, 2025. And we found this interesting because if we think about the path that we talked about at the very beginning that Ian would have been taking from Crawfordville up to Killarn, and we also know that the truck was spotted near Tom Brown Park. We know that this area, this wooded area near Blairstone Forest, is not far out of the way between Crawfordville and Tom Brown Park. And so, again, we don't know that this has anything to do with Ian, but we find that if we think about his path, it's just an interesting thing that we want to bring up and know that as far as media coverage, we're discussing.
Yeah, so this could be related, could not be related. More information on that later. But it was notable enough that we felt it was worth bringing into this case.
Yeah, because location is important.
All right, so one of the things that we're going to be doing next is we'll be talking to Teresa, Ian's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to give you her perspective, what her day looked like. Maybe she can fill in a few holes for us for the future. But we're looking forward to getting that done.
Yep. Ian Rogers was last seen in Crawfordville, Florida, the morning of August 26, 2024. At the time, he was wearing a black hat, sunglasses, a blue long-sleeve dry-fit shirt, a white undershirt, tan cargo shorts, and brown work boots. Ian has a half tattoo on his right forearm, which consists of 2 gorillas and a salt shaker, a tribal tattoo on his left calf, and a scroll tattoo with the word Mom on his right calf. He was driving a white 2019 Dodge Ram truck, Florida license plate RSKU57. The truck is also missing. Ian told family, friends, and work colleagues he was on his way to work, but he never made it. If you have any information, please call the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office at 850-745-7100, or you can email us at tragedyaTrueCrimePodcast@gmail.com. Please join the Operation Bring Ian Rogers Home Facebook page to support Ian's family.